Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What is happening? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. This is Jay Moore. I'm your healthy accountant, helping you to account for life. Today, here's what we're going to discuss. I'm going to walk you through some shifts that anybody can make, and we're going to talk about, how to turn fear into faith, how to turn fear into faith, how to turn worry into triumph. Yes, how to turn worry into triumph, guys. And it's nothing like winning a game. Anybody ever have been a part of a game, been a part of a team where all you did was work hard, and then you got to that point where it was like, yes, we finally win, we finally get there. But before you get to the win, do you know how much pain you go through? The training camps, the losses that you actually have. And so today we're going to go through just a process. We're going to go through some of the things that I found very useful and helpful on my journey as I'm becoming more of myself. And one of the things that I had to, get control of was fear. That's one of the things I had to get control. I had to figure out what fear was. And then I had to realize that fear is not real. It's only real when it's actual fear. So that's what we're going to talk about. And so, it's the first day. It's the first day of the last quarter. Literally, we have 90, I think it's 91, maybe not, I think it's 92 days left, including today, in 2022. Guys, you ready for a transformation? Let me ask that question. A few weeks ago, I think that was the week. Yeah, it was the week I was out of town. So that was the week of the 13th. I think the 14th. The two podcasts that was run during that period was why transformation and why it's needed right now. Are you ready for a major transformation in the next 92 days so that in 2023 you literally have the blueprint for your life? Are you ready for that? Look, go on the journey of how to account for your life. Go on this journey with me for the next 92 days, because I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here, God willing, to walk you through things that you can do, like literally, and that's why today is important, because ups and downs are coming. So walk with me for the next 92 days, and let's get to work. So guys, let's jump right into this. So how does one turn fear? How does one turn fear into faith? Like, seriously, let's think about it. Because when we think about fear, what is fear? Fear is, a clear and present danger. What that means is that, hey, if an alligator, if we lived in Orlando, Florida, alligators be just walking around. If you need a water, you might see an alligator. I remember some years ago, there was an unfortunate incident at Disney where, a little kid got killed by an alligator because the alligator just walked up and got the kid. So that's real fear. But a lot of times we don't have alligators in front of us. A lot of times we don't have someone standing in front of us that's going to hurt us. A lot of times we're literally looking at ourselves, and we've got this fear. Many years ago, when I was coming up, and I was little Jay, and I was shy. I was shy. I was somewhat introverted, which introvert is not bad, right? I think I talked about that. I think a couple of months ago. Introvert is actually people that are introverted. They think a lot. So a lot of times, a lot of the most successful people in the world are introverts because they think so much and they come up with things. So introvert's not bad. But I was told that it was kind of, oh, you're not extrovert, so it's not as great. Um, but I stuttered. I had a speech impediment, so that was sure to keep my mouth closed. That was sure to make me realize that, well, I don't want anybody to laugh at me. I don't want to feel weird if I can't get the sentence out, because man, I used to have some times where I'd be like, ubda, and it wouldn't come out. And then people would be standing like, okay, but I think you wanted to say that. And I just remember, that was a part of my fear. Now, let me ask a question. You know, how would somebody, think about this, how would somebody get rid of that kind of fear in their life? How would they do it? I'm going to share with you how I did it. And all of a sudden, it just went away. I just decided one day. I had finished college. This is 1995. I'm just finishing college because I'm going on all these interviews to get jobs. And I'm like, man, I have to be able to speak in a certain way. And that was back before video. And I can look at myself. Like, I learned how to speak just because I kept looking at myself so much. And I said, oh, I don't like how I look. Let me make sure I'm smiling more. Let me make sure my face looks a certain way. And so I said, I'm not going to stutter anymore. It's funny because a good friend of mine, his name is Darren Jenkins, and Darren comes over to my house. He's the only, well, besides my kids, I cut his hair because that's one of my gifts, right? I cut his hair, but it's a friendship thing. So he comes over, we'll spend 2-3 hours sometimes just hanging out, talking, catching up. And when I shared that with him, he was just like, he says, dude, how did you do that? He says, dude, I thought you got help. Because he knew, like most people knew I stuttered. He said, I thought you got help. I said, no, I just decided. I said, and that was before I understood what I was doing. I just said, I'm not going to stutter anymore. And what I did was I just started to just methodically, every time I got to talk, I slowed down. And the next thing you know, I wasn't stuttering. I stopped stuttering. Every now and then I can, like, there's certain vowel sounds that I can feel it. And I would just have to stop and just kind of get the words through. He's like, yo, that's crazy. But here's the thing. That created a huge fear in me. What fears, let me ask you a question. What fear have you been carrying or have carried over the years that you may not have decided that you would change? That's the key word here. Decide that you would change something. Decide that you would do something. Decide that you would, you know what? I think there's a better way for my life. There's something about life that I could get if I just removed fear. Now, I didn't build any faith right there because I didn't know what I was doing. But that's just one of the first steps, is making a decision that, you know what, I'm bigger than that thing. Say that, write that down. I'm bigger than the thing that I'm afraid of. Imagine who God created you to be. Who did God create you to be? One of the other things that I realized I needed to do, if I wanted to get rid of fear and operate in faith, if I wanted to get, turn worry into triumph, I had to put myself in different places. I had to put myself in different places. I had to do different things. And there's a Psalms. I love Psalms 1. And in Psalms 1, here's what Psalms 1 says at the very beginning. It says, blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Oh, yeah. What is that saying, Jay? Look, you might have to change your environments. You may have to get around some new people so that you can actually start doing some things that maybe you aren't doing. So just imagine if you've had fear in some areas. Check this out. Back in 2016, actually, it was before 2016 that I actually started getting coaching. But when I spent some big money, I think I spent, how much did I spend? $6,000. I spent $6,000 for coaching. And I remember when I decided to spend the money, it was just like, man, I don't know that this is going to work. Like, he's doing well, but can I really get my life? Can I really dispel where I'm at? And one of the things that I discovered when I took on that coaching relationship, because me and my wife, we went to go spend some time with my coach, and it was me, my wife, him and his wife, and we were out to dinner down in Miami. And so we're out to dinner, and here's what we said. It's like, wow, it's so interesting how you can just pay to have some friends, and you pay to have good friends. And so you want to turn fear into faith. You want to actually turn worry into triumph. You're going to get around some new people. That's what Psalms 1 is saying. You may have to get some coaching. You may have to get a mentor. You're going to have to remove yourself from environments that's what this is saying is ungodly, right? Listen, I'm not saying that, the friends, the family that we have is ungodly. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying, what I am saying is that when it comes to, if you want to turn fear into faith, think about this. Most people don't operate in faith. Come on, let's just be honest here. Most people don't operate expecting the best. It says expect the best and forget the rest. Who here expects the best all the time? Right now, let's think about it. There's a lot of uncertainty in our life. There's uncertainty everywhere. Are you expecting the best about gas prices? Are you expecting the best, about how the health situation is and COVID and all those things? Are you expecting the best that, the markets are going down? Are you expecting the best that certain industries are slowing? Are you expecting the best when it comes to the inflation and how that's affecting people's money? If you're in a business right now, you're probably wondering, man, do we have to pivot? Do we have to change? Do we have to kind of like make a move into something else? Are you expecting the best? See, because if you're going to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph, then you got to expect the best. How does that look? How does one expect the best? Let's talk about that. I always got to go to a word, man, because a word is where it started for me. One of the things I shared back on April the 1st, I did a 10-minute talk at my alma mater, Columbia Union College, known now at Washington Adventist University. I did a talk, and I says it wasn't until a word went inside me. Words went inside me that changed my life. And here's one of the words that went inside me that changed my life. Proverbs 3, you're familiar with this. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean to your understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. I read that thousands of times because I said, how can I do that? How can I turn fear into faith? How can I turn worry into triumph? How can I become more? And when I read this statement, I says, yeah, Mom and Dad used to read that to me. Man, they put that in me early, but I didn't understand it. Did they understand? I think they understand it a little bit, but I'm going to take it to a new level. How can I turn fear into faith? Trust. You got to trust. You got to trust blindly. What is trust? Let's think about what trust is. Think about a relationship between a husband and a wife. That's trust, right? We are trusting in each other to uphold values, to uphold this covenant between the two. It's a covenant. Marriage is a covenant. It's a blood covenant. It's one that, hey man, I can't break the covenant. That's why we should stay married even during the trials. A lot of times folks have trials and they want to get out because their trust has been broken. Imagine when trust is broken, you're like, oh, I don't know what to think now. Now I'm worried. How am I going to how can I turn worry into triumph? How can I now actually believe that this person is the same person who they say they are? Imagine God trusting us. Imagine God trusting us. He's like, man, this must be messing up. He's messed up so many times. Man, I've messed up so many times. But here's the thing. I messed up so many times. And God is just like, well, you ready? I'm ready to get back into it. See, guys, yesterday on the last podcast of the third quarter, I said that you should read every day 1 Corinthians 13. I read it today already a couple of times already today because that's where God is. God is in that. God is love. But here, you don't turn fear into faith, worry into triumph without that. And so we've got to get into this mindset of, I trust God with my life. Think about that. Say that to yourself. I trust God with my life. God created my life. God created the world. God created the universe. God created everything. God's still allowing things to be created. So if that's the case, I got to trust God with everything and not lean to what I'm thinking. And this is hard. I'm not telling you this is going to be easy. Look, I've got a framework. It's called the easy way. I haven't talked about that in a long time, but I wrote it down. I think two nights ago because I believe it may be something that we need to bring back. Because there's an easy way to do everything. But here's the thing: if you don't follow a process, it's not going to be possible for you to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph. And I just can go back to the story of not having any money and needing food for my family. And the Holy Spirit leading me into the parking lot of the supermarket saying, yep, you don't have any money, but go ahead and go to the store. Getting a text message from someone that owed me $300 saying, I just PayPal'd you this money that I've owed you since like 6 years ago. See, turning fear into faith, worry into triumph requires moving forward. It requires stepping, putting one foot in front of the other, and knowing and understanding what God's true intentions are. Do you know what God's true intentions are for your life? I'm gonna take you to some text here because we're gonna close in just a second. Matthew chapter 6, from 25 to 34. You should probably read that every day. Matthew, if you would like to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph, read Matthew 25 to 34 every day, along with 1 Corinthians 1, 1 Corinthians 13. You can also read Psalms 1 every day. Like literally, like there's just so much packed into these things. But you got to put the word in. And in Matthew 6, I'm gonna just go to verse 25. It says, therefore I say to you, take no thought of your life. I'm going to stop right there because it goes on to say a few other things, but that's all I'm going to read. Take no thought for your life. If you're going to turn fear into faith, take no thought of your life because God has your life in his hands. God is literally working. He's working for your good right now. Romans 8:28. Man, that's a powerful text in Romans 8:28. And in Romans 8:28, I'm gonna go ahead and quote that for us real quick. Romans 8:28. I should be quoting it for you. And I didn't quote it, but I'm just going to read it. How about that? How about just reading it? I love it, man. I love just having access to this stuff where you can just get right to it. And this is for, it says, and we know all things work together for the good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. Now, here's the thing as we close today, I want to get you out of here. Here's the thing. You got to believe that you're called for his purpose. See, it's the thing. All things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called. And I'm like called according to his purpose. So we got to first understand that there is a purpose for my life. I would like to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph. Am I called? Has God called me to something? And yes, God has called us all to something. God has given you a gift. That is your calling. Your gift is your calling. But then yesterday, you got to go back and listen to yesterday's podcast. But we only have half of it. It's only in part. We only know in part is what it says in 1 Corinthians 13. We only know in part and we prophesy in part. So we only get partial what things are until we connect it to the almighty power of love. When we connect it to love, then The perfect will of God is now you. And now you can move forward in the life that he's given you and is taking you to. How to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph. Follow what I've outlined in this video today. Listen to it over and over if you need to figure out how does it really work. I just gave you a framework. I just told you exactly what I've used. Guys, I have to use this framework today. Seriously, because change is always necessary. So when you have to change, then that means that there's going to be a false sense of fear in front of you. And if there's a false sense of fear in front of me, I got to turn that fear into faith. And then once I'm moving towards that, then what happens is worry is sure to come in, because you won't see anything. You won't actually have any fruit to say, oh, I can take the belief because this has already happened. Usually you won't have any proof of anything. The only proof you will have is the invisible thing that you can see, and that invisible thing that you can see is invisible. So if you're going to turn fear into faith, worry into triumph, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean to your understanding. Blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, but sitteth in the way of sinners. Get out of the wrong end. Get out of the environments that's not mentoring you, coaching you, teaching you, up leveling your life. Get out of those environments. Right? Take no thought of your life. Realize that my life, look, if my life ends today, then it's over and I've done my job. But know that today. So you got to know that I'm doing the work that he's given me today. And because I'm doing it, I take no thought of my life. No, I'm not worried. And realize that because we're called to the purpose that he's given us, then I know that all things work together just because of that. So I don't have any fear and I don't have any worry, because I know God himself is moving and taking me to where it is he'd like for me to be. So guys, I hope you got some value from this today. If you got value from this program today, please, would you comment? Would you subscribe to this podcast on Facebook and on YouTube? And if you're listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or wherever else, please share it with others. Let people know what this podcast is about, because this podcast is about helping people to account for their life so that they can become the person they was created to be, do the things they were created to do, and have the things that they know that they would like to have. I'm Jay Moore. I'm your healthy accountant. I hope you to account for your life. God bless. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.